I'm about to drive 400 miles to go and view what I'm calling the missing Ferrari from my collection, which will make sense later on. Hi guys, I'm Shmee, hello, and welcome back to the channel where we're about to drive up to Edinburgh, Scotland. Now, along the way will be a checkpoint to view a particular car which I'd like to talk about, but I was trying to decide which of the Shmeemobiles we're going to take for this journey, and I've landed on one that, since its last service a week shy of a year ago, I've only driven 300 miles. It's been to Scotland before, but it needs new tyres before we go. The Aston Martin Vantage GT8, one of the original Shmeemobiles. Let's get things set up and get ready for a road trip in the Aston. Would you believe that this car is now 7 years old? I've driven it a little over 11,000 miles, but it's way back in 2016 that I was in Gaydon, Warwickshire, literally living for a few days at the Aston Martin factory, seeing this being assembled, watching it going down the production line all the way through to being completed. When I took delivery, one of my first trips with it was up to Scotland. I went to an event in Glasgow, and I also drove it on track at Knockhill, the first track outing with this particular car. However, its last big journey was in late 2020, 3 and a bit years ago, when I drove over to Germany, went on the Autobahn, a whole lot of fun, and drove it also on the Nurburgring, ticking that box as we do with all of the Shmeemobiles. Since then though, it's not done a whole lot. It was 2 years ago that I last had a full feature outing with this on the channel. I think it's time we get it driving again. A crazy thing about this, which is actually a first for me, is that these tyres down here are the original ones that came on the car. These are from early 2016, which means they're about 8 years old. Now, what I can tell you is that 8-year-old tyres on a performance car are not good. You can tell that they have aged too much. You can tell that you need new ones, even though they have enough tread. And it's something I did experience on my SLS Black Series when I had bought that, which had its original tyres. They were only 6 or so years old, but clearly needed replacing. So this is where I would like to say thank you to Michelin, because we have a brand new set of Sport Cup 2s. These are the 295 3019s for the back, and over here on the tyre rack we have the 255 3519s that are going to go on the front. So we'll get those, well, firstly, the wheels off the car, going to go pop it up in the workshop, get the tyres loaded up as well, and then take everything over to a shop to go and get them mounted up so that I'm good to drive this probably 1,000 miles over the next couple of days. Step 1, get this unplugged. Now, the car does get driven at least every 2 months. It's not like it sits here and does absolutely nothing, but it has been a while since it had a proper outing. So I will leave the CTEC Smart Charger, the CS1 over there for the moment, and go and get this beastly V8 fired up. The fun thing with this is it's the first time, for me at least, using our Duro Workshop corner. This is where, of course, we have loads of tools, and I know we don't do the most strenuous of work on cars, but being able to pull the car to this corner, having everything in the right place, is exactly why we've done it. Brad is currently just cracking the bolts. We have the quick jack lined up underneath, so we have that from BenPack. That's basically why we don't have a 2-post here, because this can be popped away. It's not out all of the time. You can, of course, use your normal trolley jacks, but this makes it super easy. Just had a light down here, one of our DeWalt lights for the second, pull that to the side. But basically, all good, thumbs up, ready to be lifted. Nice and easy, carefully lined up. That goes up in the air. I've never actually been here when quick jacks have been in use. The guys have normally done it when I've not been here. But that is super simple. Goes up on the locks. And we're good. We're up in the air, nice. Can I just say, this is really cool, just to have this thing lifted here right now. Brad was smarter than I and wore gloves. I foolishly did not, but anyway, obviously we will eventually have this all powered up, which will make it even easier. But having everything that accessible, and even just for something as small as this, makes a huge difference. It's so easy like that, and then obviously now everything is labelled and loaded. We would normally head to Whoops. Whoops will fix it, but they're closed because of the Christmas holidays. So we're basically going to go and try some tyre shops and just turn up in a way, get these swapped over easily enough, balanced, bring them back, and reverse the whole process. So, let me close this up, probably go wash my hands, and then get ready to go hit the road. While we're on the way, and obviously the rain is coming, people often ask me when we're filming at the barn, why when there are multiple people, like when Brad's been working on the car as well, do we not both speak to the camera? And there is actually a very simple answer to this, which has been the case all the way through having the Shmeemobile, which is that it's a big empty space with a lot of echo. A lot of echo, as you can imagine. So when we're at the barn, we're filming using lav mics attached to shirts or whatever, because then you can hear us more clearly. So somebody 5 meters away or so basically isn't on the video. It's nothing to do with trying to block somebody out from being on the video. It's simply that we have to work with the equipment that's available and the space that we have. So Brad, we weren't trying to ignore you there.
I can talk now.
You can talk now.
I can communicate with you. Hello, we're going to a tyre shop.
We're going to a tyre shop. We've got everything loaded up. We're on the way, ready to get everything set for the big journey ahead of me. Random Pista MC20 Aventador. Wasn't expecting that at all, because we just decided to come to this tyre shop. We called these guys, and they're open today. So, yeah. That was a nice little surprise, so we're gonna pop in and try and get this done. Making some good progress here. We've got 2 of them done, 2 ready to go back. These are actually the Connect tyre, which works with the app on the phone. So at some point, maybe if I have another track outing, it'll be fun to check out that. We are taking back the originals, and the reason for that is what I'm doing with the motorsport theme in the garage and what will happen down the line. But a big thanks to these guys. They're doing an amazing job, just getting the last 2, I think, balanced up right now, and then it will be time to load and go. We're back on the move, so I'm taking a slightly better look in that showroom. MC20, Pista, Aventador S, 296, F8, Artura, and an Urus. Nice, not bad, eh? Mission success.
Sorted. That was very smooth and very efficient.
Has to be said that was a spontaneous, like, we just found the guys and we're like, right, cool, turn up.
It was, please can you help us, and now we get to go and put it back on the car.
Yep, super easy. Right, back to base we go. Well, that is lovely, isn't it? Welcome to England. We're back, and the good news is the GT8 is still exactly as we left it. Brad is now muted again, sorry Brad. We'll get all of these out, and then they labelled them all up as we had before. Pop them into place, get this back down, and done. Wheels on. Time to go up just a touch to do the locks. Thank you, Brad. And then when those are done, it can go back down, and then of course, torque it up correctly, which at the moment has not been done, but the numbers for that come straight from the book. Is that easy? Yeah? Spot on. And then that can go down. That's kind of crazy. Boom. Just like that. The instructions state to first torque it to 80 Newton meters all around. And of course, this is where you use the star pattern. Always, never do it any other way. Get 1 click on each of these, and then we will go around the whole lot. Carefully does it. We've done a bit of a job of cleaning and tidying, moved the GT8 because we wanted to clean the floor, and in typical fashion, now this thing isn't working, but we'll worry about that a little bit later. This now has some new rubber ready for the journey ahead, which I've mentioned has a stop actually up at Alexander's Prestige. Now, a few months ago, I went to visit, caught up with Andrew, and we went out in the Urus Performante, but they happen to have a Ferrari that I want to go and check out because there's one particular car from Maranello that is notably absent from this collection that I've spoken about a few times, and we will discuss more along the way. So it's time to go have a little bit of a rest, chill out, get some bags, and get ready to get this drive underway. It's time to do this then. We are a bit behind schedule, but it's been a long time since I took the GT8 on a big road trip, and I had forgotten how practical this thing is. Back here, there is a ton of space. Let me unplug the CTEC Smart Charger. I will take that with us. But close that up, grab some standard trolley-sized luggage that you can take on a plane, that normal type, and then, look at this, bags can start going in. If we had soft bags, it would be even easier, but that can fit down there on the side. Squeeze some other soft things up on the top. Easy peasy. In fact, I've seen some crazy things being squeezed into the back of Aston Vantages, because despite being quite a track-focused, pure driving experience, it's also a brilliant GT car. So, we're nearly ready to get on the road. It doesn't feel like very long ago that we set off from here at the Shmeemobile for the last road trip, which was with the Ferrari Purosangue, and our first checkpoint was in Brussels, Belgium. Now, I'm going to be back in a couple of weeks in the Belgian capital for the Brussels Auto Show. It's taking place from the 17th to the 21st of January 2024 at Brussels Expo, the largest event of its kind in the region, with over 50,000 square meters of things to see and do. We're talking movie cars, tuner cars, race cars, classic cars, hypercars like the Valkyrie, Wyra Roadster BC, Senna GTR, Donkervoort F22. There's going to be a lot going on at the car catwalk. Also, you'll see the likes of Enzo Knoll with his very high mileage Urus. Pog is going to be there with some of his cars. I'm going to be at the car catwalk driving something pretty fun. You'll have to stay tuned to see what that's going to be. And there's a ton going on. I'm going to be there myself on Friday the 19th of January and Sunday the 21st of January to meet and greet with as many of you guys as possible. So make sure to grab your tickets now to the Brussels Auto Show. The link is down below. For us, let's get back on the road. It is the UK and it is winter, so obviously this was to be expected. Some pretty horrible weather, and I'm super conscious that I'm also on some brand new Cup 2s. I mean, brand new any tyres just take a little bit of time to scrub in, but given we popped them on at the garage, we haven't even driven home from somewhere, so very aware of that today. Cup 2s in cold, bad weather aren't great to begin with, but pretty much that comes down to what you do with your right foot, and if you're quite sensible with it, it's going to be all fine at the end of the day. We've got the valves closed at the moment. We have the valve switch on this thing. But having not driven it for a while, I just kind of want to get back into the flow. It's a car that I know from experience is obviously very comfortable, very suited to this kind of drive up the motorway with the luggage, Grand Tourer-esque, despite the fact that it looks like it's come straight off a racetrack with the GTE-inspired body parts that this thing has. So it's always fun to get it out for a drive, go stretch the legs. It has been pinging up at me that it needs a service. Obviously, we know that it's going to get one when we get back, but I figured we should do the miles with it, given it's not really moved since the last one. So it's going to be a bit of this. We've got a big tunnel up ahead of us, and then we'll get up to Alexander's, hopefully before it gets dark. But the weather is quickly turning against us here. With the tunnel in front of us, in here, I'm going to open my exhaust valve with the switch that we have. I should probably, I remember where it is, pop the window down a touch, because when you're in a tunnel with an Aston Martin GT8, you make sure to slow down, move over, drop some gears, and do as much of that as you can. This thing is absolute madness. I've missed that noise. Up to the red line in here. My word. And the crazy thing about that is that's literally 70 miles an hour. That's the speed limit. And it's so obnoxious. Oh, fun times, hey? Fun times. We've just pulled in to buy a sandwich for lunch, and I realise as we're back in the car in front of us are the EV chargers, and there is actually a bit of a queue over there. So today, travelling long distance in an electric car would be no fun. We have totally the opposite of an electric car, even though the weather isn't fun for the tyres. Oh my gosh, there's a massive traffic jam to get out of this services. Yep, nothing I can do about that. We're just going to have to brave it before we can continue. So about 2 hours behind schedule, which is not great, but we are on the way to Alexander's, and the car, I believe, is going to be ready to check out. We're going to talk a lot more about shortly. The good news is that we're about to arrive, but look at this. It's so grim. It's only 2:30 in the afternoon, or at least it's 2:45, and it's so dark. In fact, we just saw a car with a very funny number plate, and I've got to share a photo of that with you. Yes, HE11 wet, hell wet. That is today in a nutshell. If that's you, very good plate for driving on a day like today, sir. Anyway, we're nearly at Alexander's Prestige, where obviously this is about 200 miles north from London, but we've come up this way on what would be a 400-mile round trip. It's 400 miles still because we're going 200 miles further up to Edinburgh to check something out on the way. A particularly lovely example of a car that I speak about a lot on the channel over the years. I have raved about it almost endlessly, and it makes no sense why there isn't one in my collection. But, oh, little tunnel, you know what that means? It's something that maybe is an itch that needs to be scratched. We'll talk more about that once we've taken a look at it. This is where we're coming, Alexander's. Right, let's head on in. Gosh, it's gloomier than it was the last time I was here a couple of months ago, but we will venture on in. Oh, I'm seeing some nice stuff through the window there. Oh, I see something in Viola Bast as well. Right, let me park up here and then we'll go inside. Welcome back to the showroom then, here at Alexander's Prestige, where there are some really quite cool things to take a look at, and we are intentionally ignoring what's right there for the moment. But we kickstart with the Hurricane STO. Having just sold mine, slight fear of missing out. I actually like the Verde Citrea against the grey on this particular car. Behind is a 296 GTB, Rosso Corsa over Crema. This is the Vantage F1 edition, the F1 special edition that they made when they were more involved in F1 and the cars became the pace cars and medical cars on the circuit. 488 Pista, maybe that's one we should be talking about. Maybe a Pista or its predecessor, the 458 Speciale. Obviously this is the, let's say, launch specification, silver and black or dark navy blue over the red. Viola Bast. You guys know this color from my STO, but come and have a closer look at this particular Hurricane Evo Spider. Look at the interior. Look at that dual tone with the white leather, the white embroideries, piping, stitching against the black. That is really nice. That works very well. I mean, I would be biased because of having had the pink with white on the exterior of the STO, but that looks lovely, as does this. The dark blue DBS, blue stitch inside as well. My previous gen DBS was obviously in a color very similar to that. If we keep coming through though, GT3 with a wing, turbo cab, Urus, Spider, there's an E-Type. This is the Cayenne Turbo GT. Now I did drive one of these really briefly, it wasn't on video, but this spec with the metallic dark green and the Aurum Gold wheels is very similar to what I had on my Taycan Turbo S. This also has some gold touches inside. I think that looks really nice. I'd actually like to drive one a little bit more, get more of a feel for what it's like. We've got all of the high-end luxury performance premium SUVs that we've seen here at Alexander's, the Range Rovers, the Uruses, the G-Wagons, Cullinans, Bentegas. Actually, just down here at the end is an Urus Performante, next to what I presume is Viper Green on the 718 GT4, very cool. M4 convertible as we keep coming through, but we're gonna head further up this line because I mean, there's more to see as we walk past a new M3 Touring. I've not driven a Touring. That's something I should probably try out at some point. DBS Volante, a pair of Continental GT convertibles. Again, lovely cars. That is a cool color, blue Azure on this Hurricane Evo Spider. Matching pair over here with the Viola Bast car and that. But no, what we've come to see today is the Ferrari 812 Superfast, and in particular, the spec of this, which I need to show you around in a bit more detail. Before I get into the strange relationship that I seem to have with the Ferrari 812 Superfast, given how much I rave about them all the time, but for some reason have never owned one, I need to show you around this particular car, because it is stunning. The paint is Rosso Fuoco, multi-layer, deep metallic red paint. It is absolutely glorious. Of course, I'm a big fan of the yellow caliper to match the yellow Scuderia shields. We've got the dark chrome directional wheels on this. Something always to notice on the 812s, if they have this wheel design, is that actually each of the four wheels are different because they do face in a specific direction, so you can't pop them on the other way around. I mean, you can, but then they would look slightly wrong. We've got all of the exterior carbon fiber, the splitters, the grille surround. In fact, even if I come back through here, check this out, even the carbon fiber here at the base of the rear window, we've got the Ferrari Cavallino on the fuel filler cap, and then inside, take a look at the interior of this car. It's a 1,000 or so mile example. Very, very, very cool. Look at this, crema leather with the Rosso piping accents, the Rosso Ferrari carpets and matching details. All of the carbon inside here, the LED driver's zone, the central tunnel, every single option loaded to the max. In fact, if I come and just press the button here to pop open the boot, come and have a look at what's in here as well, because this is truly incredible. Even the red carpets and leather in the boot, even the carbon fiber parcel shelf, even the bespoke straps just inside there. And if I pop this up, the personalization specifications plaque with tiny font because there are a lot of options on this car. It is absolutely loaded to the max. Really, really nice. I've always been a big fan as well of the tricolore flag being worn on the back of it just there. This thing is lovely. And of course, what else is lovely, if I pull that, is what you have in the front. Named 812 for its 800 horsepower, naturally aspirated V12, 6.5 litres of heaven that you have in here. Again, with all of the carbon fibre in the engine bay. The spec of this car is absolutely loaded, and this, as you know, because it's the shared power plant with my Puro Sangue, is an engine I am a big fan of. I will never forget the first time that I drove an 812 Superfast, and of course the GTS, but I think we should talk a little bit more about this. Let me close this up and then we'll dive into it. The $1 million question, or in this case, the £259,995 question: why is there no 812 in the Shmeemobiles? Given how much I have always raved about these cars, why is it the missing Ferrari from the collection? And to understand this and answer some of your questions, we need a bit of a backstory. We need to go through things chronologically, and you'll start to figure out how this hasn't happened to date. It hasn't happened yet. That's not to say it won't, and I'd like to talk in a second about the future as well. But if we go back to my first Ferrari, it was back in late 2015, and I bought a used FF. At the time, their flagship Super GT was this car's predecessor, the F12 Berlinetta. Now, that was out of my affordability range, but the FF was going to offer something epic in my collection. I owned two two-seater cars, and it was 90% of the F12's performance with a load more practicality, 4 seats, luggage space, 4-wheel drive. It ticked a lot of boxes and had a V12, my first Ferrari with a V12 engine. Fast forward, and the GTC4 Lusso arrived on the scene, effectively a heavy update, a heavy facelift, a new model with the updated engine, still a 6.3 litre V12, the predecessor to this 6.5, but that was an instant box ticked, had to happen. I then sold that car, which I regretted, but along the way, this arrived on the scene. Ferrari introduced the 812 Superfast, and my goodness, from the first time I drove one of these, it was amazing. Every time I've driven the 812 Superfast, the 812 GTS, a couple of drives in the 812 Competizione, and even a passenger ride in the Competizione A, I have been blown away by them. So why haven't I bought one? Well, having had the FF, then a Lusso, and then buying another Lusso, price point wise, and certainly when these arrived, I wasn't going to be at the front of the queue. I had had 2 used Ferraris, and it certainly wasn't going to be in my price point either at that time. You know, we're talking 6 years ago or so. I've owned 3 V12 Ferraris then, and I wanted to order my first ever brand new car from Maranello. And that's when I was sitting down, and I made a decision between the SF90 Stradale and the 812 GTS. And that was for a few different factors. The first Ferrari I ever drove in my life when I was 21 was a 360 Modena, a V8 supercar. The second was an F430 Spider, again, a V8 supercar. So I wanted to own a V8 Ferrari. I had had 3 V12s, and I opted to go down that route also because these had depreciated quite heavily. And I feared the 812 GTS would also depreciate quite heavily, and it would give me an opportunity to purchase one a little bit further down the line. Well, I got that wrong, and sometimes we make mistakes, and I certainly did, because the GTSs, instead of doing that, did that. The world went crazy the last couple of years, and even to date, a car that's 3 years old or so is still trading at least at list price, which is a little bit crazy. Now, having made that decision, I still hoped the 812 GTS could happen a little bit further down the line, and I've repeatedly looked at them. But as you know from the channel, I also love ordering a car when it's brand new. I love buying a car when I can customize it, build my own specification. I know the full story of it. I know everything about it. I collected it. I know every service, every little mark, every little bit of damage, everything that's ever happened to it, because I've driven all of those miles, and I have a big obsession with that. Hence why most of the cars that I own were mine from brand new, and most of the cars I have are brand new cars. So I've toyed with this idea on a number of occasions, and the Puro Sangue offers, I'm going to say again, 90% of what the 812 Superfast does as well. And I've been lucky to drive these on a few different occasions in the different form factors. Now, let's talk about what's next. I think it doesn't take a genius to work out that the successor of this car is going to be launched in about 6 months. It's going to arrive, I think, in early summer. That's my guess at the moment. And it's going to have a V12, and it's going to be naturally aspirated, and it's not going to have batteries. Well, it will have a normal car battery, of course, but it's not going to be a hybrid, I think. Don't hold me to this. That would be a pretty cool car to get, but this would be an experience missed. So inside, I'm saying to myself, I need to try one of these. I need to live with one of these for a bit before it becomes the older model. And that's what I'm thinking about at the moment. So that's what's on my mind with it all. And that's why I'd quite like to find one. I have no idea on spec or whether it should be a Superfast or a GTS. There's a big difference in the price point of about £100,000, a little bit more depending on the exact specifications of the cars. But basically you can see, having had 3 V12s, I went down the V8 route. I've also now bought a V6 with the 296 GTS, a 4th V12 with the Purosangue, ordered another V8 with the Roma. So we're balancing out. We're balancing out across the portfolio. Maybe it's going to be time to do it. Maybe it's going to be time to bite the bullet, to empty my wallet and purchase an 812. It's very tempting. It's very, very, very tempting. So now you can kind of understand it. It's not that I didn't want to, it's that I would never have had the opportunity to spec one. Once I hadn't gone for the GTS, they were sold out. Before the time I wanted to then jump back in and make it happen, they were sold out, they were gone, end of production, not an option. And that was actually quite a while ago. That was quite a long time before they finished, because demand for these cars was absolutely crazy through 2021. That period. Late 21, I think, was when they closed the order books. But this is a very nice example, isn't it? This is a really nice car, I'm not gonna lie. So now you know a little bit more about it. I hope that makes some sense as to why this has never happened to date. And if anybody asks me in the future, I can point back to this video to explain it all. Well, it's dark outside. Apologies for that, but it is time to hit the road. Key in, start it up. And wait for it, because it will probably say service due. Oh no, it's going to tell me driver door open. We can fix that nice. There we go. Time for regular service. All right, let's hit the road and let's make some progress. We've just had a fill up, and it's nice to do a long journey in a car that has a little bit more range than recent cars. The Purosangue. Actually, Purosangue wasn't so bad, but the tank is huge. Look at the weather. I mean, it's just got dark, but it is grim. It is absolutely grim outside. It's a long old journey. This car actually has some really bright lights. Emergency services vehicle. It's been raining the whole day, the whole day. We're gonna have a food stop, but we're still about an hour and a half to Edinburgh. Whew, right, let's keep going. Somewhere just up ahead of us, yeah, there we go, I can see it now. On the left is the sign for the border, where we enter Scotland. There's actually a car park there. Welcome to Scotland. Would have been horrific to stop though in this weather. Having just pulled off the main motorway, to get some dinner quickly, I knew I recognised where we were. This is where some of the dealerships are. You can see Ferrari, Bentley and Lamborghini. I actually came up here to Lamborghini Edinburgh 7 years ago on the trip when I was here with this car to drive the Performante, which was brand new, and I want to say the Aventador S, was it? Can't remember off the top of my head, but here, yeah, gates because it's late at night, obviously. What's in the showroom? There's a Perf just in front. In the showroom, quite a few different Ursus. Dorata at the back, there's an Aventador in there as well. And I can't quite see what's over at Ferrari. How funny. I knew I recognised where we were. I was literally driving along and I was like, this feels really familiar. This feels very much like I know where we are. Anyway, that was a little bit of a sidetrack. Time to go and get some food before the last little leg into the city from here. Can I catch a glimpse of anything? Is there a Purosangue? Yeah, there's at least one Purosangue. Portofino. Can't tell what's undercover. Maybe we'll come back in the daytime at some point. We'll see. This is now very familiar as we turn up here with the cobbled streets. And I have the splitters on, by the way, on the front of this car. So I'm a little bit anxious about that when we start getting to garages and things like that. But it was just up here, oh, this is really rough in here, that all of the cars lined up for Gumball 3000. In fact, what we're facing up towards was effectively part of the grid. No, this was this end of the grid. The start flag was just to the right here. So all the cars were parked a little bit further down. That was only, what, 6 months ago that we were here with the Zenvo, and now it is a Christmas time fair. So yeah, we're definitely not driving that part of the road. There's a whole lot of New Year's stuff that's going to be happening here, but quite nice and Christmassy feeling around here. We're actually coming back this way, which is where the Gumball Hotel was, just down here, where we arrived originally when we had come up with the pink van, driving that all the way up from London. And then we'll go probably venture to the same car park, just pop down there for a bit and just relive the memories, because that was a crazy whirlwind of an adventure. Today's been a crazy whirlwind of an adventure, to be honest, completely exhausting. It's one of the things, when you do a really long drive like this, when the weather's bad and it's dark, i.e. winter time in the evening, it's tiring. It's 9 o'clock at night, like in the summer, it would still be bright right now. It makes a very big difference to the exhaustion of a road trip, as we discovered on the Purasangwe tour as well. Let's pull up ahead and kind of just see where things take us for now. All unloaded then, we've arrived. It wasn't that long ago that we were unloading the Zemvo right here. We had trucked it up with Turbo Transport. We had driven up in the pink van. We unloaded it right here, ready for all of the Gumball activities just down the road. It's absolutely packed. There's a bit of a car event going on. Loads of people have just kind of driven by and turned up, and I wasn't expecting any of that. Lots of noises in the background. Obviously need to go take that into the garage. But yeah, it's good to be back. Even if it's not exactly the best of weather, there's also a wedding party going on at the hotel here right now, which is kind of funny, but we've made it. It's not pouring with rain, it hasn't been snowing, and the tyres have done us all good, which is the most important thing that we needed. Mission success. We have a little problem. I forgot that to get into this garage, it's that aggressive. So we need to bail out, and I'm gonna have to pull out onto the street and take the splitters off so that we can get down into the garage, which is slightly awkward and embarrassing, but hey, that's what I've got to do to get this car in. So let me pull up where we were unloading lots of cars not very long ago, and I'll figure this out. Further investigation, I did not need to worry. That was easy. This is very smoothly ramped, which is nice. New, modern garage, safe and sensible. I can hop back in, just come through this. No problems at all, which is good. That would have been a disaster. Well, we are now parked up in the garage, and that's it for tonight. This is right next to, well, this is where the Zemvo was parked, and Jordan's 812 Team Skookum was in the space next to us. But that's it, the end of the journey. A conversation about the 812. To be or not to be, we shall find out. Today though, to stop by Alexander's Prestige, take a look. It's been a long journey, an exhausting journey, but we're going to pack it up there. So thank you very much for watching, guys. Hope you've enjoyed this video, and I'll see you again very soon. Cheers!